This video is brought to you by Squarespace. I've done this challenge with every new Super Mario Bros. Game, so it was only due time to try this with Super Mario Bros. Wonder. The objective is to beat the entire game while collecting every coin. These include all the yellow and purple coins. It's not as simple as it sounds though, because this game complicates things a lot, and that's thanks to the badges. Of all the badges, the boost ones are what's causing a conundrum, and that's because multiple badges offer different ways of getting coins. The coin reward gives you 3 extra coins for stomping on enemies, the add exclamation blocks adds a bunch of blocks to every stage, and most of these blocks have coins, and finally, rhythm jump gives you coins for jumping to the beat of the song. What am I supposed to pick? I can only have one badge at a time. Well, ultimately, I decided that the answer is to pick none of the ones mentioned. And that's because I don't have access to these badges for the entire game. You only start with a parachute cap. So it'd be kinda weird to start the challenge without one of these badges and then slap it on once it's available. But with that out of the way, just a couple of quick rules. I must beat the final boss while collecting every coin that doesn't infinitely respawn. As an example, if you spray water on the grass, coins pop out of the grass for forever. Even the coins from enemies infinitely respawn. If at any point a level is impossible, I'm allowed to skip it and try another one if it's not required. I'm also not going to use the coin magnet badge, because that would make this way too easy and boring. But with that, let's get started. I'm actually pretty excited to be doing these again. It's been quite a while. The very beginning of the game, before the intro cutscene even begins, there is a handful of coins to collect. After Bowser turns into a castle, we enter our first level in World 1. Mario Bros. Wonder structurally operates the same as most Mario games, but also has a ton of differences. For one, you may have already noticed that there's no timer. The timer has been a huge dilemma with previous challenges, so I'm super thankful to not have to worry about that. When you hit bricks this time, you just get the coin automatically. That's also nice, because in previous games, the coins would spill out and sometimes be difficult to grab in time. But I can already tell that I'm gonna run into 2 main issues. One, this game is brand spanking new. That means there's no way for me to be able to access a map to see which pipes are accessible and where the invisible coins are located. So that means I'm gonna be testing every single pipe in the game to see if there's hidden areas, and I'll also be jumping around in the air a lot looking for invisible coins. So that's gonna be a bit tedious. In 2, you'll notice a ton of flowers and bulbs all over the place. I need to water every bulb and touch every flower that I see, because most of the time, they're gonna have important coins for me to grab. Another wonky thing about this game is the Wonder Seeds. Now, Wonder Seeds change up every single level to some capacity, which is really cool, but it'll likely run into problems for this challenge. Even for this first level, I got all the coins during the Wonder event, but then when it was over, I had to turn around and get all the coins and blocks that I missed. So there's probably gonna be cases where I'm forced to play levels twice to get all the coins, but I completed the first level after a bit of time. Moving on to Piranha Plants on Parade, it's worth bringing up the enemies' coins again. I actually wasn't sure if I need to get their coins at first or not, but after killing this respawning plant over and over again, coins just kept coming. After getting 5 in a row, I can confirm that enemy coins are not required for this challenge, but I will get them for the heck of it for any enemies that I do kill. I also decided to wait to get the Wonder Seed, and then once I started it up, I found a bunch of new purple coins on the ground. There's also coins in these rainbow note blocks, which means I'm gonna need to step on every single one. Moving on to the next stage, we've got the Skedaddlers. These guys were a little inconvenient, because most of them were holding on to our almighty coins. I also discovered that moving these pipes would give me coins, which means that even solving random puzzles will probably reward me with coins too. I'm just gonna need to be really aware to not miss any. The Wonder Effect once again had its own unique coins compared to just playing through it normally, which means that I'm basically gonna be playing chunks of all these levels twice. Another thing to mention is that Elephant Mario is super helpful. His trunk attack knocks out a lot of enemies and breaks through blocks and objects swiftly, so we'll be using our thick lad for a lot of this challenge. Then it was time for Bowser to tell me how proud he was that he was a castle, and then we moved on to the open world section. This is where things are gonna get interesting, because I can pick and choose what levels I want to play. I only need 10 Wonder Seeds to move on, so I started by going to the shop and grabbing one. Then I decided to play Hurry Hurry, because the entire level is just running straight with all the coins right in front of you. I moved on to the Poplin up top, gave him some coins to open the path, and knocked out Parachute Cap 1. Then I went to this secret area and talked to Captain Toad to get 50 10 flower coins. This will probably come in handy later when I need more Wonder Seeds from the other shops. After that, I was starting to get pretty accustomed to what I needed to do. The only thing worth mentioning is that this P-block was a little scary seeing how many coins popped in, but they were all in a straight line and I had help from a Koopa shell, so it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Wonder Token Tunes was super easy. Next was the Wiggler race. This one actually took a few tries because I needed to keep stopping to break barrels to check for coins, and it turns out the only one with coins was this big one, and the rest of the level was easy. After a quick wall climbing session, we had enough Wonder Seeds to take on the World 1 castle. There were 2 coins that seemed impossible to reach, but then you just need the Wonder Seed to get them. The pipes will then fall and it's up for grabs. And that right there wraps up World 1. It was pretty easy, but I have a feeling things are gonna get tough once we get to the later stages, so I'm not celebrating yet. After getting a free Wonder Seed and finishing Dolphin Kick 1, we move on to our first massive hurdle, and that happens to be Robert Cove. At first, everything was pretty normal. There's a couple of well-hidden coins to grab, and once I got them all, I went ahead and started the Wonder Seed. This one flips the water upside down, and adds a bunch of glowing pipes and purple coins. Once I got all these, I touch the Wonder Seed, and this happens. Yeah, I have no idea what to do about this. There are so many freaking birds that not only hit, but also grab their coins. And that's just the beginning of my problem. Even if I were to hit all the birds, there's a small island with water surrounding it. This water leads to a pit, which means there's a good chance that these coins will despawn entirely before I even have any chance of collecting them. So I tried again, and instead of using the dolphin kick, I switched to the parachute cap so I'd be able to easily move around. I was able to hit a few birds with this method, but it's way harder than it looks. You still fall fairly fast, and there's so many birds to worry about. In fact, I counted them out. There's 12 different birds, which means there's 36 coins to grab. With practice, this is probably possible, but I also need to have godlike luck that the coins don't fall into the abyss and also don't disappear. So I just kept going at it. I left the level to get some elephant suits simply because I'd have a bigger hitbox this way, and I can also use this trunk to grab coins and hit the birds. And I kept trying over and over, and I was slowly starting to figure out where the birds were going to be, and getting a pretty good rhythm down. The main culprit was, again, just the coins, especially the coins on the left because they kept sinking into the water. After about an hour or 2 of attempts, this was my best run. You might think that I got all the coins there, but unfortunately that's not true. I started this segment with 91 coins and ended with 16. If I actually collected all 36 coins, I would have had 27 by the end. So it was really gonna come down to practice and a bit of coin luck. So I just kept on practicing, and I was slowly putting together a route and just grinding at it. I eventually figured out that the group of 5 birds could be taken out pretty quickly if I smacked the one all the way to the left, and I could also get 6 coins this way. Everything else was still a bit of a toss-up, however, but I was getting better. I eventually had another attempt where I only missed 4 coins, so this was seeming possible. It was just going to take a lot of practice and trying to get as many coins in the air as possible, but at this point, I'm almost 3 hours into playing. I was really losing steam and feeling less and less hopeful. So that's when I asked my friend Carl to help out. We figured that with 2 people, we could each focus on specific birds so we could get the coins faster. The route was actually so complicated that I drew out a diagram like we're making a f***ing football play, and I was showing Carl my exact route and where we should try to aim for. That is how challenging this was. And there was something else that was annoying about this. Every time we messed up, we had to restart the course from the beginning. And no, we couldn't use the checkpoint because we both needed the elephant suit since he has the biggest hitbox. But we settled down and did a ton of attempts, and eventually got a run where we only missed 2 coins. Even when we managed to hit all the birds, the issue still came down to the coins despawning. All we could really do is that I would grab the coins on the island, and Carl would blindly swim around in the water. And since the camera was focused on me, he couldn't see where he was swimming, so we just had to blindly guess. But despite how absurdly hard this was, we kept on trying, and eventually got a run down to where we only missed 1 coin. It was great to see us getting getting better, but it still felt like there must have been some sort of easier solution. So Carl had the idea to use Yoshi as another strategy. Even though he didn't have the bigger elephant hitbox, he could at least flutter jump and potentially get more coins in the air that way. So we tried this for a bit, and unfortunately, it didn't really pander out. See, Carl basically needed to get the 3 bird coins on the left side the whole way down, and Yoshi's flutter jump was just too slow. So we went back to Elephant Mario, and then this happened. Oh my god, we actually freaking did it. Look at this. We started the level with 79 coins. At 36, you end up with 15. If we slow down this run, you can see exactly why it worked. Carl got 4 of the 6 coins and died. I got the middle and right ones and brought him back to life. He went back to the left and got 3 more. I hopped on the rest of the birds, and Carl got 3 more coins on the very last bird, while I just barely hit this bird to knock his coins to the ground. So counting my solo attempts and our attempts, this took 6 hours. Wow, I haven't gotten that stumped on a coin challenge in several years. That was truly wild. So after that, the rest of Petal Isles was pretty simple. But I did want to point out something in Bluebird Roost. This is the first place you get the bubble power-up, and you probably know that putting enemies in bubbles turns them into coins. However, like I said earlier, enemies spawn an infinite amount of coins, so I don't need to bother getting their coins either. This level was much more straightforward, and after that, I was on my way to World 2. At this point, I really had no idea when things were going to get hard again. It could come up at any time, honestly. Thankfully, World 2 had a strong start. I knocked out Wall Climb Jump 2, Puzzling Park, Out My Way Valley, Con Darts Away, Floating High Jump 1, and Up and Down with Puffy Lifts. Then came Fluff Puff Peak's Flying Battleship. Oh god, it's our first auto-scroller, and it's on a linear path, so I can't skip this level. The first half isn't that bad though. There aren't that many coins to grab, but once we get to the checkpoint, all hell breaks loose. You see all those Bowser blocks? You see all those bullet bill cannons? Yeah, they all have purple coins in them, and I have to get them all somehow. And the only way to break these blocks is with Bowser's laser from the Wonder Effect. The only problem with this is that I'm stuck in an auto-scroller, and the lasers are painfully slow to fire. This means I have to somehow get all the purple coins from the Bowser blocks while also getting the coins high in the air. And also, why the heck do bullet bill cannons have purple coins? Were they added here because the developers knew I'd do an all coins challenge and wanted me to suffer? And look at the coins! They fly out of the Bowser block. But strangely, the Bowser block purple coins always fly out in the exact same spots, so at the very least, I know where they're gonna be. But Bowser's laser, again, it is so freaking slow. The only feasible way I can do this is to access the Wonder Flower as early as possible and make sure Bowser doesn't miss a single laser shot. But sometimes, I have no choice but to miss a laser shot because he'll just randomly shoot faster? Why does he take 2 seconds to fire sometimes and then like half a second? It makes no sense. In fact, I got a game over because I kept getting hit by the laser or by the other enemies. So I went back in and I got a backup suit, and I also swapped to the floating high jump badge. A problem that I was having before was getting the laser to hit this top Bowser block, because for whatever reason, it's the only one that has purple coins in it. So this badge made it a bit easier to get up there. But even then, this was so ridiculously hard to route. But I got this down to a science. Ground pound this top block immediately, grab the coin up top and chuck fire to the right, grab all the coins from that box in the fire flower, and wow, the Wonder Seed is on the ground. And then from there, it all came down to very carefully manipulating Bowser's lasers. I finally had an attempt where I only missed 5 coins. The ones I missed was a group of 4 up in the sky, and then one at the very end of the segment. I also eventually figured out how Bowser's lasers work. They only fire when he sees Mario, so it's not actually random. This means that I kind of have control of when he fires, which is nice, and this led me to get almost every coin except 1 box. At the very end, only the top box has coins, but my movement was sloppy and the laser hit the middle and bottom one instead. A few attempts later, it looked like I actually got all of them, but checking over my footage, I actually missed 1 because of a despawn. But it didn't matter. I was feeling up to it now. The perfect run was gonna come at any time. I was fired up and ready to rock. Holy crap, that run was damn near perfect. So while I'm glad to have done that, I actually had to do it again. And the reason for that is because, well, since it's an auto-scroller, I'm forced to play both versions of the level back to back. So I played this again without getting the Wonder Seed, and the coins were in different spots. And yeah, it wasn't hard at all. But this is the first time I had to do this, and probably not the last time either. After getting another seed in a shop, I decided to try Jump Jump Jump, which was pretty straightforward. Then it was on to Fluff Puff Peak's Palace. This one again is pretty simple, but I needed to play it twice. After first getting through without the Wonder Seed, I tried turning around to get it and was blocked by a pipe. Interestingly, the Wonder Seed makes everything a shadow, which is super cool, but of course I need to explore everything, so I went backwards for the whole level. And sure enough, there was this huge barrage of purple coins just waiting for me there. It's really neat that Nintendo had coins here because, like, let's just be realistic, how many people are actually gonna do this? But once I finished that, I was done with World 2. So I knocked out Dolphin Kick 2 and Swimming in Petal Isles. World 3 had a pretty good start as well. I cleaned up an Empty Park, the Hoppy Cat Trial Hop Hoppin' Away, Unreachable Treasure, and Crouching High Jump 1. In fact, the entire world was almost a cakewalk. The Midway Trial, Hop to It, and the Sugar Star Trial Across the Night Sky were slow but painless, but the last level, however, the final trial Zip Track Dash, had a bit of a catch. It was another level that I had to play twice because of how the Wonder Seed was placed, so when I was going for the Wonder Seed route, I found 4 rows of coins that were super spread out and almost impossible to grab with just one person. After a couple of tries, I busted out a Joy-Con and turned on Player 2. The movement for this level was much more simple than the other one in Petal Isles we were stuck on, so I just went two-hand mode with the controllers. It took quite a bit of attempts to get used to the setup, but I figured out that keeping the bros close together meant that I could hit the jump and the down button at the same time. So then it just came down to getting a perfect run. Not the craziest challenge ever, but it was a bit of a doozy. But little did I know that the real challenge was just around the corner, and that was Jewel Block Cave. Once again, most of the level was pretty self-explanatory. The culprit comes down to the Wonder Seed. This massive thing called a conch starts crushing the jewels around you, and there are coins everywhere. This cave I'm being forced down has these purple jewel blocks, as well as these unbreakable gray blocks, meaning it's really hard to get around quickly. Lots of these blocks have purple coins that fly out sporadically, and for whatever reason, they despawn faster than usual. So that means I have to somehow get these coins before they despawn, but also do it without getting squished by the conch. And let's keep in mind, the purple coins can also get squished by the conch. So as you can imagine, this just seems to be completely impossible with just one person. I even tried using the elephant since his trunk can break the blocks too, but most of the blocks need the drill to get through them faster. So Carl came over again and we gave this a shot. And honestly, it was still super hard. Conch just comes down on us so fast, and there's so many purple coins in the middle that are hard to grab. Our first strategy was that I'd get the coins on the left and he'd get them on the right, but we just didn't have time to get them all. So then we added a third player to the mix, but this was just an empty controller set up as a dummy. And we had slightly better luck, but Nabbit wasn't really helping that much with grabbing coins. He was getting maybe 2 or 3 per attempt, but we needed more assistance than that. This is when I got desperate and switched to using my feet. This is not something new on this channel. I've beaten entire games with only my feet, so this just came naturally. All I would do is just move my toe left and right while working on coins, and also work on coins on the left side. And miraculously, this made a huge difference. We had an attempt where we only missed 3 coins somehow, but that was kind of a fluke. After even more tries, it just wasn't working out. Thankfully, another friend of ours, Aaron, was free today, so we came over and we got used to how Mario Bros. Wonder played. And that is when this happened. Even with 3 people, that was insanely close. Seriously, look how close Conch got to squishing these purple coins, but we somehow pulled it off. It took me, Carl, and Aaron to clear this level, but we did it, and I'm super thankful that everyone was free today. but now I can finally move on to World 4. I started things off with Parachute Cap 2, and while it was a bit feisty at the end, it wasn't that hard to complete. And the same goes for the rest of World 4. I had a lot of easy ones to knock out. These include Ninja Jump Party, Pipe Park, Race the Stage, R-Mods on the Roll, Treasure Vault, Valley Full of Snoodles, Crouching High Jump 2, Bounty Tunes, and Sunbaked Skirmish. All that was left now was Sunbaked Desert Palace, and this one was a cakewalk, which means that we've officially finished World 4 and can move on. Although, oh god, no, not another airship? Oh my god, Petal Isles, why are you doing this to me? On my first run though, I only counted 3 Bowser blocks, which means that when I have to replay this with the Wonder Seed, I only have to break 3 compared to like 20. So I'm no longer that worried. I played the level again, and it actually only took 2 tries. There were purple coins in the Bowser boxes, but it was so few that it wasn't that hard to get them. And once I got to World 5, things were sailing smooth. I knocked out Up Shroom Down Shroom, Beware of the Rifts, Tumble House, an Uncharted Area Wubba Ruins, Grappling Vine 1, another Uncharted Area Swaying Ruins, and finally, a final Uncharted Area Poison Ruins. Somehow, all of World 5 was stupid easy. I only retried the last level a couple of times, and that was it. But after World 5, we need to knock out a couple more levels in Petal Isles before we can get to the last world. And Ma Ma Mouthful wasn't too bad. Muncher Fields was also pretty simple. And with that, we had enough Wonder Seeds to tackle the final world. What's scary about this one is World 6 is almost entirely linear, so I have much less freedom on what levels to pick. I started with Item Park and Where the Rumbas Rule. After that was... oh no, another battleship! Thankfully, Deep Magma Bog Flying Battleship is the last one in the game, but I have no choice but to beat this one. Doing this without the Wonder Seed took me some attempts, but it was more than doable. With the Wonder Seed, on the other hand, well, not so much. The Bowser blocks are back once again, and at full force. And what's worse, the auto-scrolling is somehow faster! This leaves me very little time to manipulate Bowser's lasers into the boxes. I kept playing, and just assumed that this is where the challenge was gonna stop. The scrolling was so fast, and there was just no way I could get all the coins. But then, I completely forgot that these pulleys in the background actually stop the stage from scrolling. How the hell does that even work? Why does that work? I don't have an answer, and frankly, I don't care, because this means that we stand some sort of chance of surviving. Now, just because I can somewhat stop the scrolling did not stop this from being incredibly infuriating to route out. As usual, the purple coins from the Bowser blocks erupt everywhere, and there was this one on the left that had a very obnoxious purple coin that would always fall into the pit, so I had to be super aware of that, and of course, there's a freaking Mecha Koopa that's in the way on top of all this. So I had to get rid of the Mecha Koopa, pull the lever, and manipulate Bowser's lasers while somehow collecting purple coins that spread all over the goddamn ship. And guess what? The stupid Mecha Koopa comes back to life if you take too long, making this level even harder than it already was. I know it might not look that hard, but believe me, the coins spreading so far is what makes this take so long. They despawn so quickly, so you're trying to constantly pull the lever while getting the coins, while also hitting Bowser blocks. But eventually, I got this run. No more battleships. Please, don't do this anymore. After that, though, I knocked out enough levels to get the rest of the Wonder Seeds. These levels included Hot Hot Hot, Wavy Ride Through the Magma Tube, Dragon Boneyard, Floating High Jump 2, and Deep Magma Bog Palace. While all these levels were doable, I could definitely feel the difficulty heating up. A lot of coins were in awkward spots that I needed to grab, so it took me a bit longer to get all the coins in these. But I am in the last world, so it makes sense. Over time, I took out the last Bowser Jr. fight and sucked up the last Cloud Piranha. So this was it. It was time to take on Bowser. Well, almost. Bowser has a few levels of his own before I can actually fight him. And lucky for us, they didn't put up much of a fight. I got through Missile Meg Mayhem, High Voltage Gauntlet, Evade the Secret Bullet Bills, and Knucklefest Bowser's Blazing Beats. Again, these levels weren't easy to play, especially because of the Wonder Seed, because it had more Bowser Block purple coins. But thank God it was way easier to grab them since I had more open room and could blast the boxes open myself instead of waiting for Bowser's lasers. But then I was at the man himself, the one and only Bowser, that for whatever reason got really into Eurobeat music. Interestingly, there's actually coins to get during the final boss too. Every time you hit him or hit his hands, a few purple coins fly out. But that's it. Once you do that and stomp on Bowser's big button-ass brain, I can confirm that it is possible to beat Super Mario Bros. Wonder while touching every single coin. But of course, we're not done yet. There's a lot of levels I've skipped, so I'm gonna go back and try them all out and see what other ones are also possible. Heading back to World 1, Bull Rush coming through wasn't too bad, but I did bust out a second controller. That's because there's one section with a Wonder Effect that requires one person to be on the bottom and one on top. So after doing that, we were good. Roller Koopa Derby also had one tricky section. After getting the Wonder Seed, I fell down and missed a bunch of coins spinning in the air. At first, I didn't know what to do, but all I needed was to switch to the parachute cap, and then I was able to grab them all. It was still scary trying to not miss any, but it was more than doable. But Swamp Pipe Crawl was a piece of cake. And so was Angry Spikes and Sinkin' Pipes. Bull Rush Express had some scary P coins to grab, but with Elephant Mario, it's more than possible. Springs in the Twilight Forest was a fun and easy one, but Cosmic Hoppos is a different story. Okay, so there's 15 rows of 5 coins each, and the camera moves so fast that even with multiple people, it would be just about impossible. There's a small chance that with 4 people, maybe it could be done, but it's hard to say. As for the rest of World 1, it was easy to knock the levels out. These include Jet Run 1, Pipe Rock Rumble, and Pop Up Popo. Moving on to finishing World 2, I was able to complete Pokey Pete Pass, Pull Block Passage, Countdown to Drop Down, Spring Feet 1, Fluff Puff Kerfluff, Kick It Out My Way, Cloud Cover, and Zip Go Round. The only one that wasn't possible was cruising with linking lifts, and that's because when you activate the Wonder Flower, these Lekkatus in the background start throwing crazy amounts of coins. And since we're stuck on this lift, they throw tons of them behind us and it's impossible to not die. But that's it for World 2. It went by a lot quicker than I expected. Next, of course, is checking the rest of World 3's levels, and all these were also a cakewalk. These include the Anglefish Trial, Ready Aim Fly, the Sharp Trial, Launch to Victory, Watery Wonder Tokens, Timer Switch Climb, and Timer Switch Dash. Next, it was time to check out the rest of World 4's levels. All of these were also fairly simple. These include the Desert Mystery, Rolling Ball Hall, Glimpse of the Desert Skies, Color Switch Dungeon, Secrets of Shova Mansion, Flight of the Bloomps, Invisibility 1, Forever Run, Floating Wonder Token, and Lights Out. And now on to World 5, with only 4 levels I didn't do originally. And all these were also a breeze. They include Taili's Toxic Pond, Light Switch Mansion, Fungi Funk, and Trottin' Piranha Plants. Next is World 6, and surprisingly again, all the missing levels could be completed. These are Rars in the Ruins, Pull Turn Burn, Boosting Spin Jump 2, Grappling Vine 2, Jet Run 2, Invisibility 2, Spring Feet 2, that's a lot of 2s, Magma Flare Up, and Hot Hot Rocks. So we move on to Petal Isles, which doesn't have many levels to check. Leaping Smackarel, Downpour Uproar, Boosting Spin Jump 1, and Petal Metal were all possible. However, Nostril Lair is not. Yeah, I think that level speaks for itself. And that's not all. Spelunking is another level we can't complete, and that's because we're forced to pick between 2 different routes which both have coins. There's this bouncy route, and then just the normal road, and there's no way to be able to get all the coins without the poison taking me out first. But now we move on to the special world, the last 10 levels, which are supposed to be the hardest in the entire game. Pipe Rock Plateau Special Bounce 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 and Fluff Fluff Peak Special Climb to the Beat were very possible, but Shining Falls Special Triple Threat Deluge was not. And that's because this spawn of coins covers a massive chunk of the level, and there's no way to get them all in time. Sunbaked Desert Special Pull Block Allure was a tough one too. There was nothing here that was too crazy, but just the general platforming was fast, and I needed to get through without making any mistakes. A lot of times I'd grab a pole or hit some enemy by accident, so this one took a handful of tries to get down. But then we move on to Fungi Mine Special Dangerous Donut Ride. And god damn it, I am once again stuck on another challenging level. And right at the end too, I literally have like 5 levels to go. So this level on its own is really difficult. You're free falling through this hole that's got poisony goo on the sides, and the goo keeps moving left and right on the screen. Touching it is a one-hit KO. So I not need to only avoid that, but then get all of these purple coins which are all over the place. And the end is just obnoxious. We've got 4 long columns of purple coins, and are spread out just far enough so one person could not possibly collect them all. So you know what that means, right? Yep, Carl's coming back to help us again. We also switched to Yoshi so that the random enemies that fall during the free fall wouldn't stun lock us. But even once we both get familiar with the level, it was so hard to keep up. The poison moves so fast, and the coins were only on screen for so long. The long row of coins was also very hard to get, because we needed to keep wiggling the joystick left or right, or we'd get thrown off course and miss a bunch. And we just weren't quite getting it. So it was time to invite another friend over. And no, Aaron wasn't free on this day, it was Troy instead. The 3 of us should make this more than possible, although Troy doesn't really play video games, so it took him a while to get used to the controls. Our biggest issue was just the ending with the row. It was so easy to miss even a couple of coins, even with all 3 of us. But then, this happened. Good lord, that was hard. Please have mercy on my soul, Mr. Video Game. I'm right at the end here. Okay, so Deep Magma Bog Special Solar Roller was pretty simple, and so was Petal Isle's Special Way of the Goomba. Next, we've got the semi-final Test Piranha Plant Reprise. And, well, it was fine at first. There weren't that many coins to grab, but then we get to the end, and oh my god, come on! Why does the end of the stage have this huge group of triangle coins? Really? So Carl hopped in again, and we both got familiar with the level. For this to be possible, we were both gonna need to be Elephant Mario to have the biggest hitbox. But what makes this level so freaking hard is the auto-scrolling. At the end, it gets insanely fast, to the point where you're almost forced on the left side of the screen. And because of this, we're given very little time to react to the jumps we need to make. Now, with practice, of course, we were slowly getting better at this, but it was still just so brutally hard because of how little time we had to grab these coins. We eventually figured out that if we're spaced slightly apart, then it's a bit easier to grab the coins. I would do short hops while Carl would spin jump in the back, and this surprisingly made our runs more consistent, but it still didn't help that much. So we were looking at the badges, trying to see if anything else would help, and that's when I remembered the coin magnet. And even though I've banned that badge, I wanted to see how well it would work. And wow, would you look at that, we got all the coins using it. And that is why I banned it. You know what, I'm taking a break from this one. We'll come back to this level later. For now, I wanted to try the last 2 levels, one of those being the Final Test Wonder Gauntlet. This level is so damn cool, and it didn't have any hard to reach coins at all. And after that was the Final Test Badge Marathon. Again, another super fun level without any coins that are too difficult to reach. I did learn something though. Apparently you're able to ground pound the spring and it moves farther. That's an interesting thing to note that I did not do because I learned about it after beating the level. But honestly, that, I like making this level harder for fun. But when that was done, we went back to the semi-final level. Carl had an interesting idea of both of us doing spin jumps instead of just regular jumps. That felt like something that wouldn't work well, but it was actually a fantastic suggestion. In fact, we were now getting runs where we only missed 1 to 3 purple coins from changing this one part of our strategy. Just being in the air for slightly longer due to the nature of how the jump worked made a huge difference. I also spent some coins at the shop so we could properly count out if we got them all or not. We invited Troy over once again, just in case, got some elephant suits, and then got to it. And that is when this happened. I find it so hilarious how Troy was playing as Peach, died right before the hard section, got 1 coin by complete accident, and that was good enough to complete this. That is so goofy to me. And that wraps up every single level. But we can't forget about today's sponsor, Squarespace. They're the best and most powerful place to create the slickest websites. New to Squarespace is the Fluid Engine, a next-generation website design system that makes it even easier to make a website. There's also Squarespace extensions that connect your store to vetted third-party tools to extend functionality, and the analytics page makes it easier to see who's vetting your site and where people are coming from. Last year, I put together a website for my YouTube series Bandy's Universe, and I'm still keeping it up to date because of how easy it is to manage and organize the content. So with that, go to squarespace.com/Nathaniel to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. The link is in the description. Man, that was intense. There were way more challenging levels than I expected there to be. Out of all 129 levels, only 5 weren't possible. That means around 96% of the levels could be done while getting all the coins. That's by far the highest percentage we've ever had for one of these coin challenges, which is just crazy. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and there will be more Mario Bros. Wonder challenges in the future, so look out for those.